Hey there. So, once again, Susie Dent got my attention yesterday now, and well, this is my timeline. You could take a look at it before I get into what I started this video with. So, I started this video with Susie Dent, and I have left a video response for this tweet of hers. So I'm not going to go over it again, but I do want to go to Susie Dent's Twitter account. Word perfect. And a few other things, a few other books. So this is Susie Dent, that woman in Dictionary Corner. And what I wanted to do was to go through some of the tweets that she shares and what that would do. Not that she needs any recognition from me. She's already very well known and easily recognizable for her contributions. But what I want to highlight is the uniqueness of this Twitter account. So where do we start with? Should we go to well, I wanted to start with something positive back in the timeline because we're going down. Here. Now, some of the words I'm not so sure about pronouncing. Let's go to March 15, then March 16, because I do like particularly what it says on March 16. Although I'm not so sure that I have the pronunciation correct, and I'm doing it in real live time, so real live recording. Chances are I won't have everything correct because I haven't checked it in advance. So, word of the day for Nazanin is the French retrouvaille, the joy of reuniting after a long, long time apart. She gets some very interesting comments. She has quite a community that follows her. So, my sentiments exactly. What a lovely word. It is. And we're going to go up her timeline. This is something I remember. And I like it when she shares the pronunciation. Word of the morning is the Old English ucht kere, the sorrow before dawn, when you lie awake in the darkness and worry. Smart Z. I'm gonna embroider that on my pillowcase. See, these are unusual words. And she finds these words, she knows these words, and she shares them. Chances are you have not ever heard of the words she shares, or if you have, you don't use them. Would be very unusual for someone to have a working vocabulary where they use words like This one, March 25, word of the day is hornswoggle, 19th century. To bamboozle, hoodwink, or humbug. Let's look at more words. Word of the day is juretism. I believe that's how it's said, 19th century. If you heard that, sorry about the disturbance coming from the outside. What is this? Juretism. A constant changing of opinions or principles to follow the latest trend or political wind. From the French jurette, weather vane. Interesting. A lot of the French words, I'm not so sure about how to pronounce them. If it was something in Spanish or Italian, I would be a little more sure. But the French language is different when it comes to pronunciations. Word of the day, March 30. Word of the day is a reminder of the Scots flinch. To give a deceitful promise of improvement, use a weather or a situation that looks as though it might get better, but never actually does. April the 1st. Word of the day is gobemouche. Gobemouche, I believe that's how it's pronounced. 19th century. A gullible, open-mouthed individual who believes everything they're told. From the French for fly swallower. April 5, word of the morning is clinomania, the overwhelming desire to stay in bed. Well, I did have a few days like that recently, in fact. Clinomania. I was feeling a bit down with what I said was hay fever. Now, was it hay fever or was it the new variant of the coronavirus? I'm not so sure. But if it was, it would have been the third infection that I went through in 2 years. April 6th, word of the day is snollygoster, 19th century. An unprincipled person in office is motivated by personal rather than public good. This is her book. I've just learned that my book is in Amazon's spring sale at the moment, if it's of interest. Word Perfect is essentially a compendium of words for every day of the year, thanks to everyone who's supported it so far. I was very fond of a book called Word Power. Norman Lewis and Wilfred Funk, I believe, they were the ones behind that book, Word Power. And I had a couple of other books like that. And I used to read that book, refer to it, and use the words when I was not yet 10 years old. By 11 or 12 years of age, I had gone through that book quite well. So this reminds me, maybe that's where the fascination with words comes from. This one, I remember, haplology is the omission of a sound or syllable that is repeated within a word, probably for probably, for example, or February for February, or secretary for secretary, and library for library. And I do remember, yes, I left a video message for that word as well. That is how I remember this word. Onomatopoeia. How to spell. Well, you're not going to be able to hear the audio for this, but if you visit Susie Dent's Twitter account, then most certainly you'll be able to get the audio for the associated video. And this is the tweet that got me interested in finally making this video. I'll be uploading it in a day or two, but this is the one for which I have left a video response. But I'm going to read it again. Why not? Because it's a beautiful lesson. A reminder of one of the most beautiful etymologies out there. The pupil of the eye is named after the Latin pupilla, little doll, because when we look into the eyes of another, we see a tiny, doll-like reflection of ourselves. If you do visit this tweet, you can also listen to that video that I left. A bit more detail in that. Well, not detail, but more expression and sentiment in what I left. That is Susie Dent. And I'm at the end of this video now. So this is more like, well, it's not just a memo. And it's not really that deep appreciation because I'm doing it, well, I appreciate the account, don't get me wrong. But I'm doing it rather in a relaxed way. It's the afternoon. I'm feeling a bit sleepy, but I'm doing it anyway. And I'm sure I could have done a better job. But I just went through the information that's put out there by Susie Dent, and I'll call it more of a memo than anything else. I'll put this on my YouTube account, and if you are not on Twitter, and of course you should have heard about Elon Musk having proposed to and offered to take over Twitter. Why don't I show you in my timeline? Takeover, that is, buy it. It's not a hostile takeover or taking it over by force. But Twitter stands to be transformed. This man has some good plans about freedom of speech, and people have a lot of ideas about what he thinks, but there's a lot of optimism that has been stirred by the interest and actions of Elon Musk. And I do believe there is sincere interest, more so than I believed just about a week or 10 days ago. So, if you do join Twitter, then by all means, do visit Susie Dent, and might as well visit Elon Musk as well. I don't think you could avoid it even if you wanted to. So thanks for your time. That's all I wanted to share with you. Once again, a reminder. Susie Dent. This is her Twitter account at Susie_Dent. And that is her website. So I'll leave you with this, and this should be sufficient cause for you to be interested. Thank you for your time. Goodbye. I'll see you again.